Hi. So can you start us off by telling us what attracted you to the show?
Well, I've known Seth for a long time. I worked on Robot Chicken, and pretty much anything Stupid Buddy does or Seth does, I would welcome being a part of because it's always clever, irreverent, fun to work on, completely unique from any other animation experience because it's stop motion and they have their own extraordinary studios. And I just think their stuff is really authentically funny. So, for someone who spends most of my time doing children-based animated stuff, which of course I'm very grateful for, it's fun to get into the booth and say some swear words and deal with adult content just for a little bit.
That was actually my follow-up question. What is like the similarities and differences between doing, children's animation and something a little raunchier?
Well, it's sort of similar to when I was doing Drawn Together, which I was doing at the same time as Rugrats. And I remember the time my mother-in-law was visiting me, I'm like, just so you know, Drawn Together is not anything like Rugrats.
Right.
And to get into a space where it's animated and seemingly like a kid's show, but you're playing off a lot of real adult themes, it's really fun. And it's fun for the performer. It's always fun to play the bad guy or do something crazy. And in terms of the process is actually the same. We go into a recording studio typically. Of course, now during COVID, we're all virtual, but you go into the recording studio and you have the voice director and some of the production team or writers who kind of want to weigh in, and we go first and they animate to our voice. So actually the process is the same, but the content is certainly much different, and it's fun for a break from a lot of the other stuff I do. But I do love all of it. So there's a place in my heart for everything that I do. But Crossing Swords is particularly fun because it's so dirty. It's so out there. Like they push every single button. I don't think I've seen a more highly sexualized animated experience unless it's like, an anime thing that you don't want children to watch.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Well, Coral is she's brave and fearless and uninterested in misogyny. She's a royal, so she's got ample resources to do whatever whenever. She's very funny, she's very confident. She gets into all kinds of crazy hijinks, and season 2 is pushing the envelope even more than one. We premiere on Hulu December 10th, and I'm looking forward to watching it all. I mean, the first season was so insane, and then I feel like what they saw they could get away with was like, okay, let's keep pushing all those buttons and taking it even further. And it's a pretty fun ride.
Is there anything that you have to do to get into her character? Like, is there anything specific that you do before going into record?
Not really. I mean, often if you haven't done a show in a while, they'll play you the guide track so to make sure that you're right in that pocket. If you're
Okay.
doing something regularly all the time, it lives in you and it's easy. Some of the characters that I play, I play multiple characters on the show, so they'll remind me this is Fern or this is whoever, and just play it back so that I can make the differentiation between all the characters. But I'm prior to the record, the only prep work, of course, is if I get the scripts in advance, I'll read them, so I'm real comfortable with it because, when you're doing an animated show as compared to an on-camera show, on camera, all the action is visibly in front of you unless you're doing something CG. But with voiceover, everything is in your mind and in the stage direction. So if the line is whoa, you're going to need to know what's happening because if you're falling off a cliff or seeing a hot guy, it's going to be two different reads. So reading the script in advance is quite helpful. But other than that, there's not much prep work unless, of course, one more thing, there's singing involved, which in that case, I'll warm up my voice with like one of my singing lessons just to make sure we're all ready to go.
Nice. And I have one last question. Um, it's gonna be kind of tough. I guess who would be your favorite character that you've voiced over the years?
I've been so lucky. Like, I don't know how many people can say I've voiced Harley and Batgirl and Timmy and Raven and Bubbles and now Miss Minutes. They're all such extraordinary characters, and I really do love them all. And there's something special about having been able to play them all. I typically say that my favorite character I ever played was Melody from The Little Mermaid 2 because I was such a big Little Mermaid fan. And when I booked that, it was like I got in the studio and got to sing with Jodie Benson, and it was total dream come true. And I could have died the next day, but I'm glad I didn't because who would play Coral?
Wow, that was a great answer. That was much better than I expected. So thank you so much. That's all the time we have. And have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.